You've been taught that reality is solid and unmoving, but it's not. It's fluid, reactive. It responds to your thoughts, your feelings, your rituals, whether you call that psychology, simulation theory, or something more spiritual. What matters is this: when you engage magic with belief and focus, something shifts. The veil thins, the patterns move, the world answers. And that's just the beginning. Let's strip the mysticism away and get to the raw mechanics, because magic isn't about mystery, it's about mastery. It isn't a belief system, it's a skill set. And like any skill, it has principles. Understand those, and you stop crossing your fingers. You start crafting outcomes. Magic isn't just lighting a candle and hoping for the best. It's a calculated manipulation of internal and external forces that, when aligned correctly, generate results. And that alignment begins with 5 key elements: desire, timing, probability, will, and symbolism. Desire is the ignition. Without it, nothing starts. You have to want something deeply, personally, viscerally. Vague wishes don't move the needle. The universe doesn't respond to lukewarm. Real magic begins with a hunger, a sharp, specific desire that your body feels and your mind can't ignore. You have to care. You have to feel it enough to invest energy, attention, and emotion. That's what lights the spark. Then comes timing. Magic obeys rhythm. Everything does. The phases of the moon, the tides, the seasons, your own emotional cycles. These aren't just poetic backdrops. They're active components. You don't launch every spell at random. You align your action with the moment. That might mean casting at dawn for beginnings, during a waxing moon for growth, or in the final hour before sleep when your conscious mind begins to relax its grip. Timing isn't superstition, it's resonance. Catch the current, and your spell flows with it. Fight it, and it fizzles. The third element is probability. This is where people get tripped up. Magic doesn't defy odds. It shifts them. Think of it like adding a tailwind to a paper airplane. You still have to throw it. You still have to aim. But with the right force behind it, it travels further, faster, and truer than it would on its own. Magic is most effective when it works within the bounds of possibility, not by breaking the rules of reality, but by nudging you toward the version where your goal already exists. It doesn't win you the lottery, but it might get you the job, spark the connection, open the path that probability alone would have overlooked. Will is the engine. Without sustained focus and belief, your magic collapses. This is the part they don't show in movies. Real magic isn't a flash, it's a burn. It requires presence, repetition, emotional clarity. That means eliminating inner contradictions, doubts, distractions. When your energy is divided, your signal gets scrambled. Will is what holds the structure in place long enough for the shift to occur. If desire lights the match, will keeps it burning. And finally, symbolism. This is how you talk to the part of your mind that actually makes things happen. You think you run your life with your conscious thoughts, but you don't. The subconscious is the true architect, and it doesn't speak English. It speaks in image, shape, rhythm, sensation. That's why rituals work. That's why altars matter. That's why certain colors, chants, and objects carry so much power. They aren't silly props. They're code. And when you use them with intention, you bypass the gatekeeper and deliver your message directly to the control room. When all 5 elements align, when you want something deeply, choose the right moment. Stay within plausible outcomes. Hold unwavering focus. And speak fluently in symbol. You don't force the universe to obey you. You step into the timeline where it already does. This is the part that flips everything. Magic isn't about twisting reality into submission. It's about aligning with the version of reality where what you want is already true. And that shift? It doesn't always look like a lightning bolt from the sky. Sometimes it's subtle, a phone call, a change in mood, an impulse that leads you to the right place at the right time. It feels like a coincidence, but it isn't. It's alignment. This is where most people quit. They try once, get impatient, and assume nothing happened. But magic is patient. It listens to your consistency. The ritual doesn't end when the candle burns out. It continues every time you believe, every time you act in alignment, every time you choose to stay in that frequency. The universe doesn't need a show. It needs coherence. What's dangerous about this truth is how accessible it really is. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can apply it. But most won't, because it demands attention. It demands responsibility. It demands that you admit you have power. And with that comes the end of excuses. You can't blame the world for your stagnation once you realize you've been holding the steering wheel all along. Magic isn't for the chosen. It's for the willing. And once you grasp the method, you'll see how many times you've done it by accident. Now, the difference is you'll do it on purpose. For decades, magic has lived in the shadows, not because it lacks evidence, but because it challenges the very foundation of what we call science. The mainstream won't touch it. Academia avoids it. And when it does show up in conversation, it's ridiculed, not researched. But beneath the noise, hidden in dusty university archives and forgotten journals, there's a quiet thread of data, real experiments, real results, that suggest what mystics have always known: consciousness affects reality. Because if consciousness can influence matter, the entire materialist worldview cracks. If thought affects outcome, then you are not a passive observer. You are a participant in the unfolding of reality. That terrifies the institutions built on control. It threatens the idea that only experts and machines hold truth, because suddenly, your mind matters, and that doesn't fit the narrative. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The findings weren't just statistical blips. They revealed patterns. Emotional state mattered. People who were calm, focused, and emotionally engaged produced stronger effects. In other words, belief and emotion enhanced influence, which, if you've been paying attention, sounds exactly like how ritual magic works. Charge the emotion, focus the intent, release the outcome. These weren't spells. They were scientific protocols, but they functioned the same. In more recent years, organizations like the Institute of Noetic Sciences have continued exploring the intersection of consciousness and the physical world. Their work links back to ancient teachings, the idea that thought is a force, attention is a beam, and emotion is fuel. These aren't just poetic metaphors, they're mechanisms. You've probably heard of the double-slit experiment, the iconic physics demonstration that showed light behaves differently depending on whether it's being observed. When no one watches, particles behave like waves. When watched, they act like particles. That single phenomenon suggests consciousness might be fundamental to how reality functions. The act of observing changes the outcome. And while scientists debate over interpretations, mystics nod quietly. They've known all along. Reality responds to awareness. The deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. This isn't just about woo-woo. It's about waking up to the fact that your internal state, your thoughts, your focus, your emotional charge, ripples outward. It alters what you notice, what shows up, what shifts. Magic, then, is not some arcane exception to natural law. It's a function of it. The laws just operate at a level most people aren't trained to see. And maybe that's the point. Maybe you were never supposed to know. Maybe the system functions best when you think your thoughts are private, your feelings are irrelevant, and your desires don't shape anything. But that illusion is crumbling. Slowly, quietly, piece by piece. Magic isn't about believing in impossible things. It's about recognizing that what we call impossible is usually just inconvenient for the narrative in power. And if you can feel that truth pressing against the edges of your old beliefs, good. That pressure means the old framework is cracking. And behind it, something far more expansive. Something they've spent decades trying to make you forget. Because once you understand that reality listens, you start to speak with intention. Here's the truth that slips through science's fingers and magic's myths. You're not stuck in one version of reality. Every choice, every thought, every belief you hold shifts you into a slightly different timeline. Most people don't notice, because the shifts are subtle, small nudges. A conversation that goes differently, a sudden opportunity that randomly appears. But those who practice magic with intention know, reality bends, not because you force it, but because you align with it. This is where multiverse theory crashes head-on into mysticism, and instead of contradiction, you get confirmation. According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every possible outcome of every moment exists simultaneously in parallel realities. That's not science fiction. That's theoretical physics. You didn't just choose toast over cereal this morning. You stepped into the version of reality where that choice defines everything else that follows. Multiply that by a lifetime of decisions, both conscious and unconscious, and you begin to see how vast the web truly is. Magic, then, is not about conjuring things from thin air. It's about navigating that web. It's about focusing your will so precisely, so intensely, that you shift yourself into a parallel version of your life where the thing you want already exists. Not someday, not eventually, already. The ritual, the chant, the candle, the sigil, these are not spells in the fantasy sense. They are alignment tools. They're how you tune your mind, body, and spirit to the frequency of a specific timeline. You don't change the world. You step sideways into another version of it. That's why belief matters so much. Because belief is what locks you into a timeline. When you believe something is impossible, you shut down the pathway to the timeline where it's real. Your belief acts like gravity. It pulls you into the version of reality that matches it. That's why magic doesn't work when you go through the motions but doubt the outcome. You stay stuck. You cling to the reality where nothing changes, even as you're performing rituals to try and escape it. But when you believe, truly believe, not only do you generate momentum, you create access. You start to notice signs, synchronicities, nudges. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You became the version of you who sees doors that were always there but hidden. And with every choice you make, you either reinforce that alignment or fracture it. Think about it. Have you ever made a decision that instantly felt like stepping into a different version of your life? You leave a job, and suddenly, your energy changes. You end a toxic relationship, and everything gets lighter. You travel to a new place, and the future seems to open up in ways you couldn't predict. These are timeline jumps. Real, tangible, deeply felt. And they aren't accidents. They're magic at work. This is why ritual works even when it seems irrational. Because it's not about the logic. It's about anchoring belief. Rituals give the subconscious something to hold on to. They give emotion a structure. They say, this moment matters. This shift is happening. And when your body, your mind, and your energy all agree, the universe agrees too. That's the key. The problem is, most people live their lives repeating the same mental loops, performing the same emotional rituals without realizing it. Every morning, they wake up and unconsciously recite the spell of who they think they are. I'm broke. I'm unlucky. I can't change. And reality listens. It rearranges itself to confirm the spell they're casting without even knowing it. That's unconscious magic, the kind that keeps people stuck. But once you see the pattern, you can break it. You can start casting different spells. I'm aligned. I'm in motion. I choose the path that leads to expansion. These aren't just affirmations. They're tuning forks. And when repeated with intent and emotion, they start pulling you into the timelines where they're already true. This is where the entire game flips. You realize you were never just a passenger. You were always at the wheel. The roads may be infinite, but the direction is yours to choose. And magic? Magic is how you steer. You speak with your mouth, but you shape reality with something far deeper, your subconscious. It doesn't understand logic. It doesn't care about reason. It operates below thought, below language, in a realm ruled by feeling, image, and association. And if you want to change your life, you have to speak its language. That's where magic truly begins to unfold, not in the conscious intention, but in the symbols you send to the parts of your mind that quietly steer everything. The subconscious is ancient. It responds to archetypes, colors, gestures, and metaphor. It understands a burning candle better than a spreadsheet. It feels the charge in a symbol etched into paper, whispered into the dark, soaked in emotion. That's why magical rituals work, not because the candle has power, but because your subconscious responds to the meaning you assign to it. That meaning shapes belief, and belief shapes perception. Perception shapes experience. Experience becomes your reality. It's a chain reaction that begins in silence and ends in the physical world. This is also why emotion is everything. Emotion is the highlighter. It tells the subconscious, this matters. If you try to cast a spell or recite an affirmation without emotional charge, nothing sticks. The subconscious tunes it out. But if you inject that moment with feeling, desire, rage, love, hope, now you're speaking in a frequency it can actually hear. Emotion makes the difference between idle thought and activated intent. That's why people manifest chaos when they're angry or afraid. Their emotion is a megaphone, and if it's pointed at what they don't want, they amplify it anyway. That's how people unknowingly hex themselves. Magicians throughout history have known this. That's why rituals are filled with movement, scent, sound, and visual cues. They're not random, they're tools. Incense alters brainwaves. Chanting changes breath rhythm. Symbols bypass logic and speak to the dream language of the inner world. The circle, the triangle, the cross, the spiral, these aren't just shapes. They are codes. And the subconscious knows exactly what they mean, even if the conscious mind doesn't. Every detail is a signal. Look closer, and you'll see this symbolism everywhere. Not just in rituals, but in the systems built around you. Corporate logos use sigil-like design. Advertisements use color psychology. Political speeches use repetition and archetypes. It's not an accident. The elite understand how the subconscious works, even if they never call it magic. They use the same tools, ritual, symbolism, emotional triggers, not to awaken you, but to program you. And it works. That's the unsettling truth. You are already under ritual. The only question is whether you've chosen the symbols, or someone else has. Magic reclaims that power. It says, I'll choose the symbol, I'll write the spell, and it starts with awareness. Once you see how the subconscious is being spoken to, by media, by culture, by your own habits, you can interrupt the pattern. You can create new associations. You can use sigils that mean freedom, not fear. You can charge your space with intention instead of letting it be shaped by default. Your room becomes a temple. Your morning routine becomes a ritual. Not for aesthetics, but because repetition plus symbolism plus emotion equals subconscious transformation. And once the subconscious shifts, everything else follows. Because this isn't about forcing reality to change. It's about becoming the version of you who lives in a different version of reality. That starts inside. The rituals are mirrors, reflecting back who you are and, more importantly, who you are becoming. That's why even the smallest gesture, when infused with meaning, becomes potent. Lighting a candle with a clear intention, writing a sentence and folding it into a sigil, speaking a single word at the right moment. These are not superstitions. They are symbolic commands issued to the deepest levels of your operating system. And when you repeat them, when you believe in them, when you feel them, the subconscious listens. It doesn't care about what you want intellectually. It responds to what you believe emotionally. So if your life keeps circling the same themes, the same struggles, ask yourself, what symbols have I been feeding my subconscious? What emotions have I been associating with my goals? Because until you shift that code, you'll keep running the same program on autopilot. But the moment you take authorship over your symbols, your rituals, and your emotional energy, the system changes. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop reciting someone else's spell and begin writing your own.
Sigils rise, cipher call, inna the smoke, me spirit tall. Runes align, ancient sign, wisdom blaze from the hidden shrine. Burn Babylon, burn the mass, build the temple, burn the past. Secret rites, hidden light, awaken light, a chant for the spirit inna the night. Sigils in a smoke, smoke. Runes in a mirror. Cipher them a whisper. Truth can't cover. Me trace the cipher in a ash pan me hand. Seal it with me breath, chant the ancient psalm. Templar blood dripping at the ink me write. Each last name a key to survive this fight. Masonic footstep guide how me walk. Compass a fire square light the dark. Midnight lodge the grandmaster them meet. Gold on them finger but truth hide deep. Round them shift, shape on my breath. Odin spirit still a dancing on my chest. Me call the ancient, make the sigil ignite. No secret can hide from the spirit light. Sigils rise, cipher call, inna the smoke, me spirit all. Runes align, ancient sign, wisdom blaze from the hidden shrine. Burn Babylon, burn the mask, build the temple, burn the past. Secret rites, hidden light, awaken light, a chant for the spirit inna the night. Pillars still there where the watcher them fall. Nephilim script write the ancient call. Lost city of Iram hide in a sand. Buried codes in the ancient hand. Kill the flicker, shadows still pray. Whisper invocation drift way. Language of power carved in a stone. Silent message for the chosen alone. Me draw the bind rune symbol align. Frequency shift and the realm combine. Satan ring on with the burden of time. But nothing can last, not even the sign. Sigils rise, cipher call, inna the smoke, me spirit tall. Runes align, ancient sign, wisdom blaze from the hidden shrine. Burn Babylon, burn the mass, build the temple, burn the past. Secret rites, hidden light, awaken light, a chant for the spirit inna the night. City light flicker like cliff in a mist. Hermes whisper in a neon twist. Silent and sign for the one them when know. Hype on the dollar, the ritual show. Alchemical script, them a spin pon the street. Word them turn gold under secret beat. But me hold the cipher, tetragram strong. Word our power, mash up Babylon. Them fear what written, them fear where we learn. Sigil await, the cycle a turn. Truth in the ashes, Fiat cast fast. Power dead on earth, but no atom can last.